There we go. All right. So I'm John Thibodeau. I'm president of the Deering Center Neighborhood Association, and I live on Clinton Street. And I'll pick somebody, and then whoever gets picked, you pick the next person, and so on. Amy Siegel, why don't you go next?
Me. My name is Amy Siegel. I live at 15 Elba Street. And Zach. Sorry.
Hi, Zach Enright. I live on Fuller Street. Colin.
Colin Apps, Vice President of DCNA, live on Maple Street. And Amy.
I am Amy Thompson, and I live on Leland Street, and I'm a board member. Bobby.
Oh, hi. I'm Bobby Cope. I live at 172 Concord Street. And I quickly looked at the list. I don't know if there's any more board members. Are there, John?
I'm not sure. Wait, what's your question?
I was going to introduce the next board member. But
Allison.
Oh, just pick the next name.
Allison.
Okay. I'm Allison Kenway. I live on Richardson Street. Terry.
And I'm Terry Petnoff with a squeaky voice, and I live on Leonard Street, board member. And Dennis.
Dennis Lockman on Hamlet Avenue, and with me here is Kaya Smith.
Same address.
Okay.
We have to pick someone. Scott Siegel.
Evening. I just popped on, so it looks like I'm introducing myself.
That's great.
I'm on the DCNA board. I'm the treasurer. Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Martha Williamson, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay. Feel free to join us at any point. And there's another.
Can you guys hear me, John?
Oh, is that you, Elliot? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry.
Can ask who that is.
I don't know what's going on with the video. I don't know what's going on with what that is.
It's okay.
EOS webcam utility beta.
I was concerned we were getting hacked or something. So.
Exactly.
I did.
It's possible.
He's merged with some kind of computer AI thing there.
Should I just like cancel this and come back on the? I'll be right back. I'll try
Okay.
something.
All right. Sounds good, Elliot. All right. Well, good to see you folks. And just a little bit of business from last month. We have the minutes from Zach. Thank you again for getting out those concise minutes.
Well done.
Any discussion or questions about the minutes from last month? All right. And do I see a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
I propose we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Do I see a
I
second?
second it.
Okay, Amy, all in favor? All right, that's everyone. All right, and we can see you, Elliot. Great.
Hey.
You should be able to mute and unmute yourself too. All right, so next. All right, actually, well, we gotta have one other person should show up. Has anyone talked to Charlie today, by any chance?
Mm-mm.
I'll
Let's
text
see.
him though.
Yeah, why don't you give him a text? I'll just say we had two people who were interim board members who threw their hats in the ring for full 3-year terms on the board. Elliot Vacchiano and Charlie, not even gonna try to butcher his name, but Charlie. Shadek Hydorn, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
And so I think we appreciate you guys putting your names in the ring. Thinking we should probably wait till Charlie gets here to do the election. When we do that, we had the preparation committee meeting for tonight, and we thought, Elliot, for you and for Charlie, when we take up your candidacy, we're going to ask you to either close your video and mute yourself or log off, and then we'll send you a text when we're done with whatever discussion and election, and then you can rejoin us if that makes sense.
No problem.
Okay. So I'm going to say we hold off on the board elections then. We'll put that off until I'm going to move up the review of 2021, and then we'll do the elections if that's okay. Okay. All right. So 2021, it was another tough year with COVID, obviously, I think for everyone personally, but also organizationally as well. We lost some events. We weren't able to really meet in person very much, although we did have some, and just made it more difficult to really have a neighborhood association that brings people together. But despite that, we did have some really good events regardless. We had candidate forums both in the spring for the Charter Commission and for City Council and School Board in the fall. We had a tremendous Porch Fest event this past fall. We did a lot of good work with a new kind of informal group of neighborhood associations that are around us and that border with us, working on things like the candidate forums, but also just some other, just good coordination and communication about just various city issues. Just felt like good kind of neighborly work together. So that was also new in this year of 2021. And there's also 2021 is not over yet. And so there's 3 events coming up actually in the next week and a half or so. So we have the tree lighting on Sunday at Ellesmere through 5 o'clock. That's Sunday at 5 o'clock. There is caroling the following Saturday at 3:30 at Lincoln Middle School. And then the solstice event, we haven't announced it yet. Well, we did on Facebook, but I'll put an email out tomorrow. There'll be the solstice event on December 21st, starting at 4 o'clock at Brentwood Farms Community Garden. So 3 really great events coming up in the next week and a half or so. So it'll be a good way to finish strong for 2021. And I just want to do a quick review too. We also continued to, again, we kind of rebooted the organization in 2019. Most of us joined the board at that point, and we started kind of doing a lot more activities and events and meetings. So just a very quick review. In 2018, there were 4 members of DCNA. 2019, we went up to 24 members. 2020 was 28, and this past year was 36. And that doesn't include, so a lot of those are family memberships that have multiple people in them. So those are 36, probably 2/3 of those are family memberships. So there's more than just one person. So that's, I think, good kind of healthy, sustained growth that we talked about. And then for financially, and this will be the last thing that I'll end with, we had a beginning balance at the beginning of this year of $782. Our current balance as of right now is $1,235, and that's after all of our expenses, insurance, and everything that our website, our Zoom account. We raised a little over $2,100 in 2021, and our expenditures were a little over $1,600. So I think when we kind of rebooted a few years ago, this is what we talked about, is just having a membership-based organization that was sustainable and moving in the right direction and having these events. And COVID has made it more challenging, but we've been able to do it regardless. So I think it's a pretty good state of the state for the neighborhood association. So I just want to do that. That was really all I've got. Is there anything anyone would like to add as far as 2021 goes? All right. Okay. And looking to 2022, I'm excited. I think we're going to have more robust. So I was wondering if we could just kind of go around to the different people who will be doing the different events and just kind of sharing whatever your thoughts are or plans are for the coming year. And I'll just kind of go in order of the time of the year, if that works for everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The first one we haven't planned yet, but we're thinking of is to have a first spring event, which will be our new annual meeting and really our first kind of spring event that we've had. And we're not really sure what that's going to be or look like. But I think we'll be meeting early in the year to begin working on that. And I think chronologically, the next one would be either Memorial Day procession or the garden tour. So if either Bobby or Allison and Terry want to just kind of share your thoughts or what you're seeing up ahead, that would be great.
Bobby, why don't you go first?
Okay. Memorial Day be May 30th this year, I mean in 2022. And I'm going to be, I talked to John about this earlier today. I think everybody knows by now that the horse that we had died. So I'm going to be soliciting neighbors to see if they know of anybody that might have a horse. And just starting to really think about it and plan it out, just starting to plan now. So not much more. I don't think it'll pretty much be the traditional usual that we've done in the past, and that's it.
Great. Thanks, Bobby.
Yep.
All right,
So we're planning a new event for the neighborhood association, and we haven't exactly nailed the name yet. There are some contestants of backyard garden rambles or backyard share, but the idea is that on the tentative, well, the date we have so far is June 5th, which is a Sunday, from 12 to 3 p.m., rain or shine. Gardeners are tough. And we'll solicit people who are interested in both being on the committee, the planning committee, but also looking for people who would like to host their garden. And a map will be developed, very similar to the map for Magically for Porch Fest. And it will identify the neighborhood homes that people would like to host their gardens. The idea is really a community event so that you get to know people in the neighborhood. And hopefully along with that, we'll generate perhaps some new members joining the neighborhood association. There's no fee. And the current people that are on the committee are planning committee are Allison Kenway, Kaya Smith, and Kelly Christie, Allison's neighbor, and myself. And we're developing a form so that people can check off some elements that are in their garden, so people can choose which garden they might like to visit. And along with that, Kaya expressed an interest in labeling trees or shrubs or specimens of interest in the neighborhood. And so as people are walking around the neighborhood, for example, Kaya mentioned that there's an ironwood tree in our neighborhood. So people can, and those will be labeled as well on the map and in person. And we also, I guess, I think that's in our next committee meeting will be in very early January. And that's where we are for now. Anything I forgot, Allison?
No, I think you did a great job.
Okay.
All right. Zach?
Zach
That's
has
the
a question.
question. I know somebody who is interested in helping out. Should I just send them to you, Terry, or?
Wait till January.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But we're going to have some kind of contact at that point.
But if this person wants to be on the committee.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, they want to help
Sure.
plan.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
yeah.
excellent. Yes, send them to me.
Okay.
Right away.
Right.
Don't wait till January.
What if you want to just like chime in on the name? When
Oh.
you get to do that?
Go ahead.
Tell us now.
I like the ramble one, but you know, maybe I need a multiple choice to truly think it through.
Okay, well, we'll come up with a group with a series and then have some input from the board, perhaps in the January meeting.
That sounds great. Thanks. That's exciting, guys. It's great to hear a new event and it sounds very promising. All right. Anything else about the garden tour? Or
I just
garden-
want to say it sounds very exciting. And I love the idea of also labeling the trees that we're gifted to have in our neighborhood. So
Yeah, and at the last meeting, Charlie said, volunteered his family to do the labels.
great. They're good.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. All right. So then I think summertime we usually kind of take off. And then we have Porch Fest. And I think we all kind of know it. But Amy, do you want to just, I don't know, just say a few words about kind of what you're thinking or seeing ahead for 2022 or?
Oh, well, I would like to say that this year our committee is committed to getting things done sooner. We tend to do things rather last minute. So we're committed to that. And I guess my ask is just spread that word. Tell hosts they could sign up today for next year. And that would be great. Bands probably not so much, but hosts, just, you can spread that around. And then the other thing, which isn't really about Porch Fest, but since I have the floor, a short documentary was made and it's really fun. And so John, I will send it your way so that other folks can watch it. It's really sweet. So about Porch Fest.
Yeah.
If that wasn't
And just
clear.
a reminder for that, Terry, you mentioned as well, and anyone else too, if there are things that you know are going on in the neighborhood or events or videos or newspaper articles or whatever that you would like us to share either in our email or our Facebook page or both, please just, let me know. So just keep that in mind. Any good stuff, would love to see it. And then I think, so then after Porch Fest, we may do something again. We've kind of talked about doing Halloween stuff and not done it. So I'm not sure if we will or not next year. And we don't know yet, but we'll probably will do the holiday events that we're doing this year or next year too, but that seems awfully far away right now. So I'm not going to even go there yet. So that's what we're looking at. So it looks like a good 22. So really big additions of looking to do a spring annual meeting, annual event, having the procession back too, which is a wonderful event. We haven't had it for a couple of years because of COVID. So that will be, hopefully we can have that again. Bobby does an incredible job. It's an amazing event. And then having this new garden tour, it would really be just a fabulous year if we can pull all this off. So it sounds great.
I did forget one thing about the garden, that people can also host, if they have extra seedlings or plants that they're dividing, that they'll share them with anybody who visits, who wants them. So.
All right. So I think that's what we got for 2021 and 2022.
John, we may have, so, you talked about the 2 candidates forums that we participated in 2021. So I think school board might be up, right? So that might be one thing that we would host in terms of a candidates forum.
Yeah. Yes.
I know that the district councilors aren't up till 2023. So
there will be 2 elections next fall too for city council.
Is that right? Okay. So we may host a forum or 2, is I guess my point.
Yeah, no, thank you. I totally forgot about that. Yes. Candidate forums as
So
well.
they haven't decided when they're doing the school board yet, have they?
Right.
There was an article today. I think it's very likely there'll be a June. It'll be a June.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Colin. That's also an important addition as well. Any other events or anything else that we missed? If anyone knows Charlie, can you guys start texting him?
Yeah, I'm wondering, I'm gonna mute after I say this and I'll see if somebody can bring me my phone. Would it be okay to just say a little bit something about solstice?
Sure, that'd be great.
Now, I would just like to say, anybody that's interested in helping out, specifically with cutting boughs, the morning or day of or few days of, anybody with small children. Children are really good at moving boughs around, and I'm very happy to work with kids. So I'm looking at you, Zach and Colin, and if Charlie was here, I'd be asking him too. But any little kids that want to come and just romp in the garden, I will even be in charge of them if you want to drop kids.
Whoa.
Depends on the numbers, but Zach and Colin, I'd take your kids. So anyways, that would be great. And I don't have exact details, but if there were to be a group of kids willing to do that, oh, Bobby, your grandkids. If there were a group of kids that wanted to help with that job, they're more than welcome. So.
What timing, Amy, that you would actually want that help?
Yeah, so I knew that I wanted help, but that idea just came to me this second. So I don't have timing, but I can think it through and get it to you, Colin.
Okay.
Yeah, and it could be day of, or it could be the weekend before. I'll throw you some ideas and you can tell me what works best.
Sunday early evening or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks. All right, and I'm gonna go get my phone and see if I can get in touch with Charlie.
I mean, I'm not sure. Well, maybe you would have better luck, but I called him and texted him already.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so we can do one of two things here. We could do the green space presentation, or we could do the election and then just figure something out as far as what to do with Charlie's candidacy. Should we just go ahead with the green space presentation and hold off until the election as late as we can?
Yep.
Okay. Amy, are you?
Sure.
Are you ready to go? Okay.
Yep, let me just find the screen to share. All right, you all see my screen?
Yes.
Probably should start at the beginning. Hang on a second. Oh, this is weird with multiple here. Why is it not letting me move forward? All right, hang on. Sorry, I don't know what that is. Screen share with multiple monitors is not. All right.
Yep, plenty of time. Take your time.
Let me try this one more time. See where it goes. Hang on a second.
There we go.
You can see it. All right, this is weird. I've got 3 monitors. I gotta figure out what's going on. Okay. All right, so so do you guys see like the slide format, or is it just one slide?
It's
We
just
just see
one
the one-
slide.
Okay.
There, I see the slide format now.
Do you
Now the
see
slide.
like on the right, the next slide, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
All right.
On the left.
On the left, you see the tab. So before it was better where you had the full screen.
Yeah, it's very small now.
All right, hang on. Sorry. I should just unplug and it would be, you know what? Let me do that. I'm gonna unplug my stop share. I'm going to
Oh dear. You're frozen, Amy.
Oh, Amy's frozen. That Amy's frozen.
We're
Yes.
super stoic. She's like,
She's extremely calm.
She's not even blinking. I would hate to play.
Some people get nervous before presentations, but no.
Okay. We need to have like the technical difficulties. Do we lose her?
Ooh, now she's completely gone.
Uh-oh. All right, any small talk anyone got?
Scott must be hogging all the broadband.
Right.
Amy, I've been meaning to ask you, what day of the week is solstice?
The Tuesday this year.
So,
It's gonna be on Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you need branches or do you have them?
I usually, Kaya, I will take them if you have spares. I usually go dumpster diving and get stuff a car, and one trip usually does it.
Interesting.
Yes. It's great fun.
That's great.
Car smells great.
I was at Broadway Gardens, and I knew you went there last year, right, to get a bunch of Bowser. Did you?
I
go
don't
there last-
usually, I usually go up to Skillins
Oh, okay, then forget it.
because they just pack it all in for like the whole season, and then their dumpster is packed.
Okay, good.
So what happened at Broadway Gardens?
I just asked if they had any extras, and they said usually we do, but not this year because
Oh.
there's a shortage of bows this year. So,
Interesting. Uh-oh. I
but that
better
was
sort it out.
Tough. We might have to just like hit people's yards and
at the woods.
yeah, I mean, there's a Christmas tree shortage, so.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so I'm not sure. I don't know what to do here. We lost both the candidates and our presentation.
Amy will be back. She's a professional.
Hey, it's Scott.
Yeah, but still-
Her internet's down at work, so she's trying to get back on.
Oh no.
oh,
We're not sharing Wi-Fi. I'm sitting in my car at my daughter's soccer practice.
So actually, John, do the people that we're voting on have to be here? If you were gonna make them leave the room while we voted, they're both out of
Yeah,
the
I was
room now.
thinking of that.
Can
Oh.
we? I don't even know. Does anyone know just in general if can we vote with someone not present? Is that
Well, are you saying the people who are being nominated?
Yeah, all they have to be is nominated. They don't have to be present.
okay? So we can vote without Charlie then, right? Is
Yep.
that
Oh.
okay?
But
You wanna
Amy's
just-
back now.
You want me to oust, just Bobby text me or something?
Hold on, Elliot. Do we want to do the election now and just do it and get it done with, or?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Elliot, why don't you just, if you can just, you don't have to log off. You can just cut your video, cut your audio, and then I'll shoot you
I'll
a
just-
text. when we're
Okay,
done.
that works. All right,
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
talk to
you.
soon. All right. So yeah, so we have the Elliot and Charlie have both thrown their hats in the ring pretty enthusiastically too, which is great. So I guess just any discussion first, or any thoughts or anything anyone would like to say about either or both of their candidacies.
yay.
Yay. I second that.
Yeas? Okay, the yeas have it. Okay. Yeah, I think they were terrific interim board members, and I think they'll be great full-time board members. Bobby and I were actually scouting out for the tree lighting and ran into Elliot, and he's actually going to be helping us with that. And Dennis, he's also interested in joining our business committee, which we are going to do. It has not been, I know we've had to keep delaying it, but we will follow through on that. And he could be really terrific on that committee, I think. So, okay, so let's have a vote, I guess. Do we have to make a motion, or we just vote, or I don't even know. Just have a vote.
I think we can just have a vote.
All right. All right. All in favor? Should we do both at the same time or both individually?
why not?
They
It's not gonna be any
will have
do it
to become
individually.
one from here on out.
Trying to be professional here. All right. Everyone in favor of Charlie, help me with the last name again,
Attic Haydorn.
and Elliot Vacchiano serving 3-year terms on the Deering Center Neighborhood Association Board of Directors. Raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay, I see unanimous. Thank you, Scott. All right, so that is unanimous. I'm just going to text Elliot really quickly.
Kaya and Dennis, what are you saying? It looks so interesting.
We were discussing if I was eligible to vote. And I said, boy, would you have a board that only board members can elect new board members? That seems a little inbred to me.
Yes, no, I'm really glad you brought that up, Kaya. Actually, everyone can vote. All members can vote. So you do.
Yeah,
have
you
a vote.
remember. Yeah, you can vote.
Yes. And
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
that makes more sense in a democracy.
We actually want that too, so we might need a do-over.
Sure, let's do a new vote with Kaya. All right, all in favor of Charlie. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible with the name.
And Elliot.
Elliot Bacchiano in favor, and everyone can raise their hand.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it is unanimous again. Thank you, Kaya, for bringing that up too. It's a good point.
And Amy just asked to be unmuted, John.
Amy.
Amy Siegel.
Oh, Amy Siegel. Oh, yes, Amy.
Right,
We're
She's
back.
back.
We're back.
She's back.
It's all coming together. It's all coming together. Okay, so we're done, and I just let Elliot know, so he should be here shortly. And I think, Amy, if you want to go forward.
Okay, we're gonna try to be real careful here. Evidently, when I was trying to go Wi-Fi, that didn't go so well. So, all right, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna just keep it in PowerPoint mode here. So first, Dennis did the bulk of the production for this PowerPoint show, which was fantastic. It's always handy to have someone do a good show to start with. And I added a few things just to kind of flesh it out a little bit where he had asked me to do that. Naomi Merman and Karen Wilson and I have been we kind of started working on this, but if folks like obviously Kaya and Dennis have been jumping in, doing a lot of great stuff, and especially this past year, as well as Colin. And so super appreciative. This is a very much a collaborative effort, and appreciate everyone's input. So this is the area that we're talking about for this Deering Center Central Park, as we have so-called coined it. It includes the area with Memorial Stadium, Ludlow Pond, Baxter Pines, and technically the fields all along behind Longfellow and Deering High School, including the tennis courts and sort of all of that area. So we're considering it all within this center park. And as you recall, let's see here. It's not advancing slides for some reason. I have no idea what's going on. Once I start sharing it, for some reason, it does this weird thing. Okay, I'm just gonna do it manually. Okay, so zooming in a little bit to the area here, again, just showing the Baxter Pines, Ludlow Memorial, the fields. So obviously we've got the practice field, the tennis courts, the practice fields, the baseball field, and softball, baseball field here. We had a neighborhood charrette or workshop back in 2019. Seems like forever ago. And we had a great turnout. We had, I think it was four different breakout tables and teams that are all collaboratively working on ideas for this Deering Center Park. And we had folks coming at it from a lot of different perspectives, safe walking paths, art, what else? Having identification and sort of a character and common sort of theme throughout, talking about plantings and native plantings, pollinator species, all sorts of things. So it's really thinking about it cross-generational too, from students who are walking through here every day to go to school, as well as seniors and dog walkers and everybody in between. So it was a great sort of event. It was sponsored with money through a mini grant from Portland Trails. Just want to mention that. And Jamie Parker attended and has been very helpful throughout as we've worked through it. So then a couple months later, we developed this concept master plan. So it's dated January 2020. I believe we showed this at the annual meeting, which would have been in December of 19, I think. That would be the last time that we would have presented it to this group. And as you can see, it's kind of color-coded diagram, highlighting a variety of things. You know, the yellow lines are reestablishing safe pathways. We've got these red circles noting sort of these gateways, as we call them, these welcoming, wayfinding gateways that would give identity to the space, sort of a common identity. And we can incorporate signage and benches and lighting and sculpture and all sorts of fun things in amongst those areas. But again, it's sort of developing or identifying the perimeter as well as the interior spaces. We looked at what we called enhanced people places, which is a few places where, you know, we noted that there wasn't enough for people just yet. You know, it needed seating, it needed better pathways, better defined edges. We also talked a lot about stormwater, well, drainage in general, and then stormwater and ideas for how we might be a little more proactive about handling some stormwater and drainage throughout. We talked about potentially having a better connection to Ludlow Pond from up on Maple Street, where there's some pretty poor drainage, and just an overall looking at Ludlow Pond. And we had, you know, some discussions, and this is historical, and basically the topic that kind of the catalyst to get this all going was the discussions about Ludlow Pond and wanting to be able to have it be, you know, an active winter skating pond, but also, you know, having it maintained for habitat and beauty and other, you know, to sort of try to balance all of that together. So, you know, there's been a lot of discussions. I would say nothing's been formalized, and that would definitely be you know, a next step that we would look forward to doing. We also talked about Ludlow, how drainage along this section of Ludlow is pretty poor, and that the road is failing, the sidewalk is failing, and, you know, maybe there's an opportunity there too to have you know, some green infrastructure built into it. So there's ways to handle drainage without just throwing everything into a pipe and sending it to Capissic Brook. You know, I just wanted to note this because it's something Naomi had mentioned. So when we were doing this work in January 2020, you know, this is big ideas, you know, we want to get all out there so that we can eventually work towards this goal. And, you know, at that time it was, you know, where could we possibly get money from? Well, you know, now here we are 2 years later, and, you know, there's money coming in. So, you know, positioning ourselves with projects is more important now than, you know, just to seize on that opportunity. So I just plant that seed to everybody that it's important for us to kind of pick this back up and really start moving forward with it in bigger, more robust ways. These over here, these master plan principles, just to reiterate these as Dennis described them. So first and foremost is to have safe and convenient paths for all. Identifying entrances and edges with unifying features. So we'll some images of that. Managing water and respecting the pines as a bird sanctuary and enhancing it. As you all know, it was kind of a monoculture planted in there with the pines, and, you know, they were not well suited. And obviously the harvest that went through, you know, made it very obvious that there's lots of opportunity now to do some replanting and enhance the biodiversity of that space. And then obviously along with that is we all know how many invasive species are in, particularly the Baxter Pines area, you know, with the bittersweet and everything. We basically have everything in there. And the city, you know, the city's method for dealing with that, you know, just sort of mowing it every year. And that may not be what we eventually want, but that is the way the city is approaching it right now. So again, this concept was pulling together a lot of ideas, and the hope is to take this and, you know, start moving it forward with a bunch of different initiatives as we go through. Okay, I did want to mention this because I was talking to Jeff Tarling about this a little bit, and just wanted to have a couple comments before we look at the images, is that the city had contracted with Renee Knoll to do this forest management plan back in 2008. And that was addressing Pine Grove Park, Mayor Baxter Woods, Baxter Pines, and Evergreen Woods. And, you know, we have seen since 2008, these harvesting activities in the different, these 4 different parks. And obviously with Baxter Pines, that was done just recently. And I just copied this bit of information out of this, just the summary page there, talking about the plantings that, you know, went in after World War II, and basically talking about, you know, how they need to keep mowing it every year to be able to handle the invasive species. So I just put out there that the city has kind of had this on their radar for a long time, and then just took a long time for them to get actually out to the site. And then, as we know, they were in particularly Baxter Pines in the fall of 2019 and 2020, or in the winter as it began, and, you know, kind of made a mess of the site. You know, timber harvesting is never easy thing to watch happen, and the aftermath can be pretty devastating looking. So, you know, the city was aware of this, and like I said, they've been trying to get out here, but because of the groundwater situation here, as we all know, it's get very wet in there. They made a mess of the site, and they knew that, but they had to wait till the spring for it to dry out a bit so they could get out there and reestablish and kind of regrade and reseed. So they've done that. These are some photographs from Dennis and from me, just looking at, you know, how the trails were reestablished, at least the main cross trails were reestablished. The city has since then hired Portland Trails to kind of finish up, you know, kind of move forward with additional side trails, and, you know, as much as we can kind of get out of that budget to do some of these other items that I'll show you in these images. This again is just kind of a zoom in on particularly looking at this corner with Baxter Pines and Memorial Field, and here's Ludlow Pond. And these red lines, as Dennis put in through here, and Dennis, obviously you can jump in here at the end or whenever, but Dennis highlighted all of the sort of trails that are in here in the pines and around here now, and the trails that we want to enhance and improve. So just kind of giving you that overview. We don't show the connection, but there is potential. There's right-of-ways here coming out to, I think this is Hale. Is that Hale right there? Zach, which choose that? What's, I always forget. It's Mabel. Okay, yeah. And so we have Madeline coming in here, so that's that back entrance, but there is a right-of-way here. And there's also actually another one somewhere down in here, but we've always sort of looked at this as a way that there's potential to have a better connection there with this neighborhood right into this park as well. All right, so these are just some images as we were, you know, looking at these basic principles that we're trying to, you know, crystallize in our concept plan, and how we've started to sort of make that happen. Obviously the paths and really looking at places to gather. This is that kind of enhanced people place. Portland Trails has put some, you know, they've done the enhancements with a few sort of granite markers, but it's not quite seating as I would see it. We still obviously have opportunities along the edges. This is across from the Deering High School parking lot. You know, this is the walkway along Memorial Field, and this one goes into the interior. So they have, since the city has come out, and I just noticed this, they put a couple pieces of granite there, and they put a bollard back in there. So, you know, that's just kind of to stop people from driving in there. But what we really want to do is to take this, you know, a couple steps further and really have it be, you know, a welcoming entrance, and use, you can see what Dennis has highlighted here is these pieces of granite. So Jamie Parker and Portland Trails kind of deposited a bunch of granite that you'll see laying around at entrances. It didn't quite install it all before, you know, while he had time before winter set in. But so we have, you know, plenty of recycled granite that we can use. And, you know, as we move forward as an identifying feature. And again, these are just great photographs showing the obvious need for trail improvements in and around the whole space. And the idea is to not just have it be for spectators going to Memorial Field, but for all of us to use it in multitude of ways. You can see a couple of the granite posts that they started putting in as sort of markers and entrances. And again, the idea is to have these unifying features, this sort of common element. So the folks are like, oh, this is still part of this park. I get it. And this great image that Dennis put in here shows some of the granite that had been put in, most of these by Jamie and Portland Trails over the years. So the lower shots are the rain gardens coming down below Longfellow in here. And this was part of the safe passage to school, safe paths to school grant that I think Naomi wrote that with Portland Trails through DCNA to kind of get that sidewalk rebuilt all the way to this crosswalk here going up to Longfellow. So that was, I don't know, 15 years ago. There's also granite obviously out in front of Lincoln here. So that's sort of an element that's, it's available, it's sort of free. So as long as Portland Trails can get their hands on it and have the machinery to put it in, we can continue to use that as an identifying feature. This is, I think, a very exciting realization and first step with, making welcoming entrances. So this is the end of Madeline, and it used to have the chain link fence across here and just a single sort of gate, pedestrian gate through here. And the idea was to take out that fence and, have a more welcoming, like this is a park entrance, you're welcome to come through here, not like a backdoor entrance. And so you can see the granite that went in, and there's a post here with a Portland Trail sign. They built a wooden bench over here, and they built a short boardwalk over the drainage swale, which is fantastic. That's always a really wet spot. And obviously, another great thing was that Kaya got some plant material in here, and she can say what it was. But the idea is to beef this up with plantings and have it really be sort of a beautiful entrance. And there's also some plantings that happened back in through here behind the field. So we'll want to continue to do that. You know what? I'm just going to jump here first. It's out of order. So these are, you can see when you walk out there now, you'll see these stakes with blue flags, and those were put there to protect the plants that went in, because obviously, as you all saw recently, they went through and bush hogged in there again to keep the invasives down, but gotta make sure they don't mow over the good stuff too. So, we've started to do some plantings, and the hope would be to kind of start increasing these areas and kind of having those stakes be bigger and bigger, so we can start establishing native species that can outcompete the invasives, and we can just start managing bigger and bigger areas. So obviously we can't take on the whole thing at once, but we certainly can start doing these great plantings. And Kaya and Karen Wilson, started bringing in some species. We also had Maine Audubon through Eric Topper. They had a program through, I think it's at Daring High School over the summer, and with some students, and they came and planted a bunch of different native species throughout here as well, and along the pond. So there's going to be opportunities like that, and we want to be able to capitalize on those. I go back one. And then here is at the corner of Maple and Leland. And this is sort of the entrance. Didn't quite get upgraded as much as I wanted it to be, because I want it to be a very smooth, accessible entrance in there. But again, this boulder and this marker, talks about the space being municipal grove and bird sanctuary. I think you all know, we've talked about this like way back in the 40s, before World War II, it was a victory garden during the war. And then after the war, it was planted with these species of trees, not all of them well suited for the soils. But at this point, the city's very open to having more plantings come in here and, creating more biodiversity. So it's not so much of a monoculture kind of as it is now. And so that's really exciting. They're super supportive of it. I think that it'll still take us, pushing along to get that done. The city, I was talking to Jeff Tarling about this too, and they're really interested in putting a kiosk here at this corner. Obviously, they would be seeking input from the neighborhood, but having a kiosk here, not as big as the one that's in Baxter Woods, but something similar, maybe about half that size. But, you've seen like Portland Trails and the city's kiosk, which is kind of a wood post with a little shed roof over it. And then they have some interpretive signage information in there. So it could tell the story of this site. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to, be engaged with the city and figure out where we'd want it. You know, I've always sort of thought about enhancing this space right here with maybe a kiosk and maybe some seating and just kind of having a space there versus just a path walking through. There's not a lot of seating in all of this area except for along Ludlow Pond. So it's an exciting opportunity. Yeah, we just looked at that one. Oh, and then I couldn't help it. I had to include this image. So this is our daughter, Emily, did for her senior capstone at Daring, painted the crosswalks. I'm sure you've all noticed those. So that was part of her project, kind of raise awareness in this intersection. Particularly, it was, as you can see, a Black Lives Matter, mental health awareness through their program called Natural Helpers. It's the national program, but through the high school. Obviously LGBTQ plus, you know, support. And this was kind of a you know, earth, water, air kind of awareness. Ironic that it's paint, but still. And then the other crosswalk there, coming from across from the Daring High School parking lot. So again, this is, you know, temporary art, but the idea is, you know, to kind of reactivate the space and have it be more than just, you know, a space for cars, but a space for people and all that. So that is the end of that presentation. Dennis, chime in and add whatever else you feel that I missed, and I would be happy to answer questions. Is he still here? Yeah.
Great job, Amy. Thank you.
Anything I missed? Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, Amy, what does the group need most for the coming year, I guess, would be my first question.
Well, I guess without Naomi and Karen being here, I would say that it would be good to kind of reinvigorate the group. And I know that you've been involved, and Kai and Dennis, and I think that if we could, you know, I know there's more people that are interested, but to kind of gather a sort of, you know, warm bodies and focus our efforts, whether that would be, you know, more plantings in certain areas or what have you, but I think it'd be better to come together and then sort of have a priority list and advocate through the city. Like I said in the beginning, that kind of, you know, carrot of that money coming in is there. And I know that most of it's spoken for, but, you know, I can't help but think that there's an opportunity here for us to advocate for some bigger improvements. So.
Great. And remind me, do we have a chair for this committee right now?
Is it like one of
Doesn't
you
have to
all
be a
as
board.
chair, or-
Doesn't have to be a board
mean,
member. I'm just trying
yeah.
to understand, like, you know, we could all point fingers. Karen's going to Vermont for a few months, right? So, yeah, just want to make sure if we want to either lead or to help somebody else lead, we kind of know how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, you know, obviously Naomi and Karen and I are super passionate and interested, but I think it's hard to maintain momentum, you know, when we all have sort of crazy schedules like we all do, you know. So if there was a consistent sort of leadership role that someone would take on, I think that would be fantastic. It doesn't have to be among this group, but if we can find that person, I think that would be, you know, having that focused champion, I think would be a great thing. So, because I'm super passionate about this and I want to help, but you know, it's hard to keep momentum. So
that would be the other thing, is trying to kind of identify somebody who's willing to take a leadership role and harness the momentum we have, which was well represented by your presentation.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, I know that maybe it's a question to Karen about, you know, is there students through USM or otherwise that, you know, we could have, it may not be long-term, but even if it was sustained for a year, if there's certain, I don't know, I kind of put that out there as I'm always looking for, you know, students to take on these roles with their enthusiasm but I don't know if that's just a pipe dream.
This presentation tells several stories, and some of the stories are backward-looking stories, and some of them are forward-looking stories. The backward stories are what happened in the past and how the master plan was created, and a little bit about the pieces of that. But it tells a story in current time about how improvements that are happening are actually following what was imagined or designed in the master plan. And so that's a snapshot in time about how something in the past is actually happening in present time. But then the other part of the story is looking forward, and that comes into advocating in the city for new money, is showing how this is a continuing fulfillment of the ideas, and these steps have already happened. And that's very compelling when you're requesting for money to show that these steps have already happened, and it's just a small matter of taking the next step, and then the step after that, and the step after that. So I'm hoping that this or some version of this can play a good role in leveraging money and getting authorities excited to help the future steps happen. On a side topic of that, I'm wondering if some version of this can be on our website, or maybe under the part of the website that's about the Green Space Committee. So if somebody happens to be Googling around, they can come across this as well too.
Yeah, send it along. I don't have this final version, but if you can send
Okay,
it along.
sure.
we'll put it up there
Definitely.
tonight. Any other questions or discussion about the green space work? And it's really terrific. Great presentation. Thank you, Amy. And all
Hey,
of you.
John, I have something real quick.
Yeah.
And obviously Amy's aware of this because we share the same shelter. So I'm sure you're all aware how dangerous that crossing area is between the Daring parking lot and the Memorial Field. If you've ever driven through there when people are going to and from practices and games.
This one right here. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, and I guess
Cross where the purple crosswalk is. Yeah.
Yeah. So at night, it's such a dangerous spot, and I know there's been just very little brief discussions here and there over the years. I know Mike Daly, the athletic director at Daring High School, would very much like to see something change there, and I just didn't know what, I guess, approach we could with the city to, I guess, one, find out if it's on their radar as far as doing something different than there is now. Part of it's lighting and just aware, making people aware when they're coming down that way that there's people crossing. And obviously there's lots of different ways to do that, but most of them tend to be, pricey. And so I guess as part of the park and encouraging people to walk and stuff, I would hope that, we can have one of the tags and or focuses be safety. And I didn't know if maybe working with the athletic director and the school might be a good partnership to do that, where we get, multiple kind of groups saying, hey, we really need to do something different here. And I'm just really surprised somebody hasn't been killed at that spot. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. But I don't know if anyone knows if the city has had anything on the radar to look at doing something different.
The other thing I'll add is that, over a year ago, we've been emailing Mike Daly about this for a couple of years now since he started there, but we had reached out to the Parks Department, and there are utility poles, on either side of here that they could add a fixture to. It's just, I don't know, I guess it's probably talking to the city councilor would probably be the best next step. I mean, we keep trying, thinking that internally the city will just make it happen without having to, apply pressure from another direction. But yeah, I think a letter from DCNA might be good.
One of the things that might help too is if the issue that Colin brought up too, if either among the current group, if you could nominate among yourselves or find somebody who could be kind of the go-to person who's chairing it and kind of taking ideas like Scott's and all of these other ideas and just kind of managing them, right? And making sure, just scheduling meetings, doing this sort of stuff. And it seems like that's kind of a critical piece if it's possible, either among you or if there's somebody else that maybe could join that might have that interest. I'm just throwing that out there. Any other just discussion or questions about the presentation?
I have one more question / comment. So in terms of moving this forward, one next step is to have Jamie come back and complete the work that was started by dropping off the granite. So there's work in progress that needs to be finished up. And then there's also identifying, like Scott pointed out, what are actually future next steps and where the funding and who's going to be responsible for it. So there's a couple feet moving forward in different momentum.
Maybe it'd be worth adding another slide at the end here and just talk about those things, because I think that's a good point, Dennis. Maybe you and I can kind of come up with like, okay, this is
Next
what
steps.
needs to be done, you know, short, near term, and then things that we want to work towards. I think that'd be great.
And it may be great to have a district counselor, see this presentation with them and, see if we can get something going.
Right, and our counselors certainly became aware of Baxter Pines in a more active way after the timber harvesting, and I think it was through them that the city obviously sped up their response about restoring the site. So the city councilors are more aware of it now, which I think is great, and I think if that might be worthwhile sort of capitalizing on that momentum and having them re-engage. So I think that's a good idea.
Amy, do you think that was a letter, what communication helped on that? And, to try to get to, for example, the safety issue. Is a letter the best way? Is that bringing the counselors out there? Is it an all of the above approach?
Well, we had the counselors out on this in Baxter Pines, but I also, John, you can jump in here, but I believe that there was a letter that was sent to them as well, right? In
Yeah.
different communications, so.
I mean, Mark Dion is very approachable. And I think Naomi did some great work. I think she was communicating with him. And so, yeah, I think that's the person to go to, as well as Ethan Hipple lives in the neighborhood too. So that could be somebody as well, who directs the parks. So, but I think city council is always a good place to start. And I think, you can call Mark, you can email him. I can help connect people if they don't have his information. I think he would want to do what he could to try to support this, would be my guess.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So yeah, maybe Dennis, you and I can talk, and I don't want to promise things and not deliver. So I think it's a great idea. Just need to make it happen.
Amy, you've done a lot, so.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, I think this is an awesome presentation. Sorry, I was a little late for it, but do we happen to know what the final design will be for the elementary school, and if that pathway is going to be non-existent, the one that goes from the parking lot down to the playground?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because we really should update this plan to kind of show the expansion of Longfellow and how circulation around the school will change. I haven't seen a final site plan, but let me just.
I haven't either. Yeah, I didn't know if I missed it, but yeah, if that,
Well,
I was just looking at the map and noticing that if that's eliminated, you really got a long way around.
Right,
school.
so the expansion, as I understand it, is sort of here. There'll
Yeah.
still be a walkway along the front here, and they'll still have this connection because they have to maintain that. But they're not gonna have this, that lower at the base of the hill, there. So I just need to see how, I believe they still have to have access through here, but I don't know how it's all gonna connect. So it's a really good point, and I should be a little bit more assertive of getting a site plan. I kept saying, well, how are you guys reconnecting this? How are you redoing the playground? And like, no one was answering me. So I'll pursue that.
Yeah, I mean, we won't know until it happens, but maybe if it looks like, if it's a Baxter Pines situation where it looks like they're just going to leave a pile of sand there, we can kind of say like, hey, maybe level that out or something. I don't know.
Well, no, it's a really good observation, and we want to maintain the interconnections and sort of gateways and into the park. And it's a really critical one. So making sure that the Bell stays really well connected is important. So
The
I'll
design plan-
pursue that. Yeah.
Yeah, the design plans are for the most part finalized. Jessica Marino, who lives in our neighborhood, is actually on the committee that's overseeing this, and she's a great source of information.
Yeah, I'll ask
I'd-
her. Yeah, because I know the architecture's done. I just wasn't sure about the site plan. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
It's okay. Yeah. So anyway, and if you have any, if you want connections to the other people on the committee as well, it's made up of city councilors and other
Yeah.
non-board member, non-city councilors. But there's plenty of information that can be shared, and I think answer most of what you're asking.
Yeah, it's very low and wet, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion about the green space work in the neighborhood?
Yeah, just noting for the record, we need a green space committee lead, whether on the board or not. And then I think it sounds like we have consensus that some kind of letter about the crossing it's a low hanging priority. And so we need to identify a lead for that letter as well. So let's just put those, unless somebody's willing to raise their hand right now, let's put those on our next agenda.
Hey, Colin, I'll take care of the letter for the crosswalk since it's a very great concern of mine. So I'll do that. That's not a problem.
Thanks, Scott. Well, I'll volunteer to help edit it and add to it.
Cool.
And hopefully we can kind of have a small group that's following up on that.
Yep.
And I'm also thinking that maybe the letter could come from some of the students. That always tends to be a good trigger.
So whatever you do, just autonomously, the committee is autonomous pretty much to do their thing. Any kind of big communications to city councilors or folks like that, if you could just run it by me, just so I have eyes on it, just in case I'm communicating with them about other stuff. I don't step on, get caught up on stepping over each other. But that sounds great, and everyone, Amy and everyone who's done this work, it's really been, it's just been terrific. It's just been wonderful to watch this evolution, the whole idea, but also specifically with Baxter Pines, just seemed like a great opportunity. You guys really took advantage of and really turned around a situation that was really upsetting to a lot of people because they didn't know what was going on. And it really turned it into a really positive, developing and continuing success story. So I think it's great.
Amy, I had a question, and Amy, I don't know if you know this or if anyone else does, but I'm curious to know if there is someone somewhere I can find, or if someone could tell me right now, that would be great. What, with the master principle, respect the pines as a bird sanctuary, I'm wondering if it has been deemed a bird sanctuary, or if there are specific criteria that honors something as a bird sanctuary, and what those things are. And I will say that why it popped into my head is because I know that there are many bird species that light deeply affects they will not choose a place where there is a lot of artificial light. And so Scott, when you mentioned possibly lighting the crosswalks, and I was thinking of the field where there is an enormous, I don't know what to call it, shine of
Stadium lights. Stadium lights. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wondered, if you don't know, that's fine, or if you knew where I can just Google it, but I'm just curious about what that means.
Well, there's two things to say to that. One is that there is, when Baxter, donated and designated the site, there is a description in the deed of what it is and how it should be maintained.
Okay.
And so and I can get that for you because Jeff's given that to me. So there's a very detailed description of what it should be. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily like machine, that was machine planted, pines that went in there. They're,
Yeah.
like I said, they weren't the best
Right.
suited for the site, and they don't really
Absolutely.
support
Anything.
biodiversity and plant materials. So it will, I think at this point now, it will start transitioning into a better habitat area. Granted, you've got the stadium lights and you've got a high degree of lighting there. You've got lights along Leland Street and Ludlow. So it's not going to have the same sort of goals and criteria that maybe Baxter Woods would have now. They're obviously trying to control, for instance, off-leash dogs and Baxter Woods and things like that. Here, dogs have to be on a leash. So, it's not really an issue as much as that is concerned. As far as the lighting, there is already 2 utility poles on either side of Leland Street that they could add cutoff fixtures. Again, we're just trying to light the intersection and the crosswalk, where the parking lot is and the crosswalk. We're not trying to have light go back into the pines any more than, existing light already does. So it would be very directed light. So I appreciate your sensitivity to that.
To my knowledge, Amy, there's no definition of a bird sanctuary in city or state law, right? So
Yeah.
your instinct, I think, is right to be like concerned about surrounding uses. On the other hand, there's not like a definition that we could, and there's not like
Right.
hasn't been designated an important bird area by Audubon or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that. But it is described in the deed as how it should be
Yeah. Yeah.
maintained,
Yeah.
Ironically, when they built the ball field, let's see here. Get back to the map. This ball field here, technically that violated the deed. Not Memorial Field, because it used to be a racetrack here. So like a dog racetrack. That's why it's called Presumpscot Park, because it was a dog racetrack. So part of that was already developed, but like this portion, they cut down trees and built that ball field there, which, and I don't remember when it was built. Maybe Scott does. But I don't know if it was like 70s or 80s or something, but that definitely was something that was in violation of the deed. And I know that Jeff Tarling is sensitive to that. So yeah, and I'm not saying that the city's going to take out the ball field and replant it, but it's just, sort of the history of the site there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions or discussion? All right. Well,
I just want to say thank you to everybody for voting me in.
Yeah.
hold on, yeah.
Did you guys already do that? Sorry.
John, you gotta announce Elliot, you're just assuming.
Yeah.
No, he texted me. I wouldn't assume.
I mean, that's like dictatorship stuff. That's the way they like to play it.
I'm getting ready for this shoulder surgery tomorrow, and it's like the bed's not made. I've got this thing. It's like it's chaos. I didn't have the laxatives for the Percocets and everything else. It was a mess. So a little freaking out, but that's okay. I'm here. Sorry. It was good to see the last part of that. That was an awesome presentation.
Charlie and Elliot, congratulations. You narrowly won the election.
Do we still have an open slot? Was it a 2-person race for a 3rd place?
But you won in the landslide.
Oh, good.
I mean, you guys got so many votes that you filled the 3rd spot too.
Well, yeah. Don't worry, I got the time.
So you're getting a new shoulder?
I'm getting a new shoulder. Yeah, they're gonna throw it right on there, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna fracture it, and then they're gonna stuff some bone in the fracture, and that'll hopefully stop it from dislocating constantly.
Wow, Charlie.
Yeah, and by the hopefully in 3 months when I get back to work, it'll be good to go. It'll be fun. Who knows?
You got plenty of time for volunteer stuff then.
Yeah, I'll be on the computer a lot. I'll probably gain some weight. It'll be all right.
Charlie, good luck tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks. We're excited that you guys are back. You're 2 great additions. You bring a lot to the board and to the neighborhood, and we're psyched to have you. So
thanks.
All right. Is there anything else? Any other Any other loose ends or thoughts or anything? Allison?
Has everyone been down to see the otters?
I heard about them. I couldn't believe it. I haven't been down yet because they come out early morning and I didn't plan it well, but
I saw them in the afternoon, middle of the afternoon too.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
out
no
all
kidding.
day.
Where?
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, they're
That's
great.
incredible.
Where
Yeah.
are they?
In
They're
the
down in
duck
the-
pond,
Oh, okay, so I thought, yeah.
Evergreen.
They're moving across the ponds in Evergreen, yeah.
So does anyone know how they got there?
Crazy.
Oh, they swam up from Kapisic.
They walked from Portland, Oregon. Where- I didn't know we even had them in the East Coast.
Well, they're not sea otters, they're river otters. So we have them statewide, but it's
Okay.
not typically in urban or even
Hmm.
often in suburban settings. So it is pretty
Right.
unique.
Yeah.
And they might have come up from the Presumpscot River where they are or something else like that, but it's a pretty unique situation.
Mhm.
Well,
And
they,
it's-
yeah, I mean, now that the great horned owl is out, they thought maybe they, keep it nice and spicy. It's crazy how much wildlife is down there. It's really unbelievable.
So,
All right, anything else? All right, well, it seems like a good note to end on. Stay warm, everybody. I guess it's gonna warm up anyway, but stay warm at least for another 24 hours or whatever. I guess that concludes our annual meeting and our December meeting. And we'll see you in January.
So our next meeting will be which week in January again?
Let's
Second
see,
Wednesday.
is- be January 12th.
January 12th. Great.
All right, thanks for a great year, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we
Thank
did
you.
it.
Yay, woo.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, Charlie.
Yeah,
Take care.
thanks.
Good luck, Charlie.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
great.
good luck,
Charlie.
Charlie.
Are we
Yeah.
doing this? Are we doing it Zoom in January? Or are we doing in person? Zoom?
Yes.
Soon.
Okay. All right.
Bye, guys.
Oh, wait. Okay. See ya. Is our meeting next week on Zoom?
What meeting?
The Porch Fest. Sorry.
Porch Fest, yes. Zoom,
yeah.
Charlie. I think, actually, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll throw around a poll.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.